Hey guys, Michael Valentino from Crusader Caravans. Today's a bit of a special one. We've had a sneak peek of a new product that's just landed from the team at Cowfish. We get asked all the time about the old Cowfish products, from their aerials to their Wi-Fi adapters to all the things that are, that are caravans that the Cowfish team bring out. So one of the things that I was really interested in and get asked about all the time is the adaptation of the Starlink unit. So how do they integrate to caravans? Everyone has a sort of way of doing it, whether it be an RJ45 Ethernet connector on the outside, or whether it be just a pass-through port, whether it be just a little mini CAN inverter. We get asked all the time. Evidently, so do Cowfish, because they've sent us a little Cosmo for us to have a bit of a look at. So currently available on their website. I think they retail for just under that $300 mark. So jump online, have a look. Alternatively, when you buy your new Crusader, we're more than happy to be able to talk about fitting one for you on that. It comes like so. I imagine, they're going to pretty it up for you, of course. But we have in our little box another box. So I'll just pop this guy to the side. We have a Cosmo. So what the struggle with the Starlink is obviously it's a 240 volt system. So for the likes of customers that don't have an inverter, or they just do a little bit of free camping, they don't necessarily want something that's going to be, 3,000 watt inverters with 400 amp lithiums. They've got a nice suitable system, whether it be 200 amp lithium or 150 amp lithium, or whatever they may, AGM battery setup they may have, without going to that full hog system or doing things that are a little bit sort of abstract, like a CAN inverter, 150 watts or so. They're looking for something alternative. So for the Starlink standard, this is the new Starlink that's on the market. I've personally got one at home. It's a little stand that kicks out and lines itself up to the satellites that old Elon's thrown above us. That finds the satellite, grabs the signal, and then obviously distributes through its router. So with the Starlinks, you get your actual satellite, like the little square little pop-out dishes that you're used to, and then obviously you get your modem or router, if you will, and that's this, I believe the new one's like a rectangle. And then this is where the Cosmo comes in. So rather than plugging it into a 240 volt socket, the guys at Cowfish have actually developed a piece of tech that is a 12 volt Starlink power supply. So really straightforward. Has 12 volt input, 24 volt input, or alternatively, obviously its output is 57 volt with a 7 amp max draw. So I open him up, and this is what he looks like. Nice and simple. So the Cowfish Cosmo that's available comes with 3 leads off it. Comes with an LED little light there to let you know he's on with our little switch. And overall, it's a steady little power supply. Well, that's exactly what it is, really. You've got your input cable, like so, that detaches, but it's a steady little unit. So this here, obviously, we're talking about relatively thicker cable. Traditionally, for the Crusader stuff, we normally run sort of 6BNS, so if you're going to run that line, or obviously use the same sort of AWG wiring. This guy is a 10 AWG. I'd be sticking with either that or alternatively something a little bit up from that, depending on the distance of the run. You'd be talking about you'd be installing this to be able to power that Starlink. So what do we do? Obviously we have negative, positive. So ideally these would hook up to a reinforced power supply, something with that, with that sort of cable. Alternatively, directly to the caravan batteries via a shunt or via just, standard fuse blocks underneath the bed of the Crusaders. This little guy here is the thing that takes over. So the new standard Starlink comes with a adaptation block, or a modified power supply. So it goes from a 240 plug into this little block, and then that block out to one of these into the modem, and then that powers the satellite. So this now takes over from the supplied power supply from Starlink. This is going to do all of your power supplying. This plugs into your router, and then we have one cable, which is typically a USB-C like cable that is specific to the Starlink, although the guys at Cowfish are obviously looking at adaptation to that, and to go from a USB-C like adapter to your traditional Ethernet RJ45 connector. So the application of this, for instance, would be you'd get your little caravan here. You would pop your Cosmo, or you'd wire your Cosmo potentially under your sink, right? So your router would sit here, your Cosmo would sit here. You'd have your power supply running from the kitchen sink, for instance, under the van to your power supply underneath your bed. And then this would plug into your Starlink router. And then you would have that one cable that lives inside your TV hutch on the outside via like an access hole, port hole, bung hole, RJ45, depending on what sort of install you're after, depending on sort of how much you want to modify the van, depending on how much you want to be able to have quick and easy in and out access, completely up to you. There's so many variances and so many ways you can do this. But essentially, this would just live inside a spot in the van, that would then have constant power supply. So it would run directly off the Caravan batteries or a power supply via the Caravan batteries. We'd be talking about a 15 amp inline fuse to protect the unit, to protect the Starlink, but that means that you'd be able to free camp with no additional equipment such as a Victron, Enerdrive, projector, inverter, and still be able to power that Starlink, of course, because you want to be able to watch 200 megabyte a second Netflix, which all of us want to enjoy. So jump online, have a look at the Cosmo. Alternatively, just add it to your next Crusader. I think it's time for an upgrade anyway. If you want to find out more, or alternatively, speak to our lovely sales associates to be able to buy a Caravan, give us a call on 9359 2938. Head to the website, www.crusadercaravansmelbourne.com.au, or alternatively, you can send us an email like everyone else at hello@crusadermelbourne.com. We'll see you when the new stuff hits. Keep an eye on the advancements with the Cowfish team and make sure you say yes to it on your next Crusader. We'll see you soon, guys.